Manny here once again. Welcome to DFS Zone, your source for daily fantasy sport lineup advice for the NFL and the NBA. Got a brand new video for you guys today. We're going to discuss today's 7-game slate. I got a stud 5 and a value 5 for you guys. But before I get started, like always, I appreciate you guys drop a like. It helps my channel out. I greatly appreciate it if you do. And if you have not been here before and it's your first time here, you're one of those new NBA DFS players that is just stumbled onto my channel, welcome. If you have not as of yet subscribed and become a part of the DFS Zone community here, please do so down below and make sure you put on those post notifications, get that bell icon turned on, so this way you don't miss out on any of my NBA or NFL lineup advice videos. With that being said, today is Friday, TGIF to everyone out there. It is Friday, October the 26th, 2018, and we have a 7-game slate in the association. And basically, last night, not a bad night for me. I got over 300 again, my 4th night out of the last 5 or 6 nights that I've scored a 300 score or better. I always tell everybody here from when I started the channel 7 months ago that if you're in the 300 club, if you at least get into 300s, you always have an opportunity to take down a GPP, or at least make sure that you have an opportunity to at least cash and get some money back. I was able to do that last night in every one of the small tournaments that I did. And that's pretty good. That was the 4th time this week, so not too bad. Nothing huge, nothing big. I have to post this stuff up. Anybody who's new to the channel, I basically post my winnings because I think it's important to share that with my viewers, that I give you a certain amount of players. Pretty much that's almost like a portion of my player pool when it's all said and done. And I think it's fair to just share with you, obviously, and show you a clipping or a screenshot of what I actually have won either on DK or on Fanduel. I play more so on Fanduel, but I do play on DK as well. But that stuff I usually lately I've been putting that up on Twitter, so all that information is down below in the description of the video. I have all my handles, but I mostly put up most of my winnings, whatever it may be, even if it's $2 or $5 or $100, whatever it may be, I usually post it on my Instagram. So that's at DFS Zone, but that information is down below. And I have a hashtag that I started way back 7 months ago. It's the DFS Zone 300 Club. So hashtag DFS Zone 300 Club. If you happen to have a 300 score better, just go down there and make sure that you put that hashtag to your actual posting, and this way we will keep building that hashtag up, which will be great. All right. Enough of that jibber jabber. Let's go right to it. So today at point guard, there's a couple of guys. Obviously, Steph Curry going up against my Knickerbockers. Great possibility, great game, great option there for you guys. I mean, I'm going to have a little exposure to Curry. I'm not going to lie. I might have him in 1 or 2 lineups. He's not my favorite play here, but and it's just more so for price. But at the same time, his price is pretty darn good. At $99, you only need 49. So and he's averaging 51, as you can see on the screen here. That's not too bad. Chris Paul, good spot as well. He needs to put up a lot of points here. He's going to have to be, the main go-to guy. Carmelo Anthony's going to have to get involved. Capella as well, without no James Harden. I'm just a little worried about this game because he's been out for 2 or 3 games with the suspension, and he's going up against his former mates, and once or twice he's faced his Clippers. He did not play that well, and not only that, he's going up against Mr. Beverly, who's not a bad defender. He's one of the better defenders at point guard, and Beverly's going up against his former team as well, so it's kind of like a revenge game for both guys. But I'm going to bypass that. I may have him in one lineup if I could squeeze him in. I prefer Curry a little bit more. John Wall, I'm not, but I'm going back to the well, man. I've been loving Kimball Walker this year, so he's the first guy I'm going to definitely recommend. At $8,500, he's $1,200 cheaper than Chris Paul, and he has the same amount of upside in a game that, he should be able to do fine. He's averaging 31 points per game, 3.4 rebounds, 5.4 assists, 44.8 fantasy points per game, 45 spot pretty much there. At $8,500, that's pretty much what he needs to put on the table for us tonight. Need about 43 fantasy points to meet 5x. And then on DK, he's 8,200, where we need 41. So I think he's in a prime good spot here, capable of getting 50 in this game or better. He's playing at home, and when he's at home, he's usually even more electrifying. As you can see, his numbers have been unbelievable. He played against Chicago. I mean, this is a home and home. They were just playing in Chicago. He put up 40.6, pretty much a 41 spot. Let's go over to him in the cruncher. And as you can see, 40, 41, 53 in his last few games. I love the minutes. Obviously, we know the usage is going to be there. He's averaging more than 28% pretty much on average. And then the shots have been pretty much ridiculous. He's taking about 22 shots per game on average. Okay, pretty much 22 shots per game, and he's shooting about 10 threes per game. If you look at it here, 9, 7, 15, 10, and 13, those first 5 games, that pretty much breaks down to about 9, probably about 10 to 10 and a half, about 11 3-point shots per game. So he's taking tremendous amount of shots. The floor points have been excellent. He's getting his assists, and he has the occasional block and steal that he brings. That's the added extra fantasy points that we really want to see from a point guard, which you're going to always hear from me here. I don't like point guards that are shooting terribly and don't do anything else to help the team as far as getting fantasy points for us. So he's in a good spot here. They're going up against Chicago. Chicago has given up 31.6 fantasy points per game thus far. Obviously, they gave up 40 to Kimba in the last game, so he already smashed that. And they gave up 51 to Ben Simmons and 26 to Reggie Jackson as notable last opponents they have had, other than Mr. Walker. So he's in a good, he's in a good spot to get 40, 45. I could see him getting even 50 in this game because he's going to take shots. When his shots are going down, he can put up anywhere between 50 to 60 fantasy points, hands down. So, I mean, for me today, he's in a much more better spot today than he was the other night in Chicago. So I definitely love Kemba Walker here and in this spot here today. As far as value, man, it's just right here is tough because to be honest with you, I already told you I have exposure to Curry. I'm going to have exposure to Walker. I do plan to have some exposure to Lowry, and maybe 1 or 2 lines I'm going to have some sprinkle of Mr. Fox here because he's in a good spot as well, and he's showing that he's going to be one of the top leaders on this team for Sacramento. Definitely like Elfrid Payton here as well. Against Brooklyn at home, New Orleans, you got to always favor some New Orleans players, especially at home in New Orleans. But we come down a little bit more. Some people are going to be on Cameron Payne. He's a little price, and his price is really high, $5,800. I do like the $4,600 better on DK, so I may have some exposure to Cameron Payne in this matchup against Charlotte. On DK, I'm not too sure I'm going to have him here on FanDuel. Then we get down a little lower. The best possible scenario for me again, and I recommended him the other day, is JJ Barrera. I mean, he's at 40. I really don't see a whole lot of value down here that I like. And JJ is the only one that has, to me, the best upside as far as where this price range is at. $4,400 JJ, you need 22 to cover value here. And on DK, he's $4,600. $4,600. But he's averaging 27.3 fantasy points per game. That is above his price. And he put up 25. I recommended him a couple of days ago. He put up 24.9. I think it was this game here where he put 18.8. He's capable of 1 fantasy point per minute, and he can have this explosion. He has so much upside for GPP, which I'm a GPP player, that he can get 20 minutes or 20 to 21 minutes and put up 29, 30, or maybe 35. And that's what I'm hoping for, and that's what I am expecting to happen today, Because, for one, they're playing against Toronto, and they're playing, Kyle Lowry is not a great defender, as we know. We do know that. Toronto comes in here giving up 36.9 fantasy points per game, 2 point guards this year. They gave up 27 to George Hill, 37 to Kyrie Irving, 50 to John Wall, 41 to Walker, and 30 to Jeff Teague. Now, granted, J.J. Barrera is not any one of these guys, but he is. You could say he is feisty and scrappy enough to be able to get 20 to 25. And I can see where Dennis Smith Jr. could possibly. Dennis Smith Jr. has a tendency of getting into foul trouble early. If he gets into foul trouble early, I can see J.J. Barrera. Another thing also, if Dallas falls behind heavily in this game, I could see J.J. Barrera getting even more additional minutes. So something tells me that he's probably going to get 20 to 25 today. And I would not be surprised if he gets 25 or 30 fantasy points or better if he gets that amount of minutes. So J.J. Barrera is definitely in play for me as a value play down here at the bottom end. I really don't like anybody else down there, to be totally honest with you. It's not a whole lot I like as far as value in the bottom tier here as far as point guards. Go to shooting guards. Jimmy Butler, great spot, man, but a tough matchup, man. He's more than likely going to go up against Giannis, and Giannis is more than likely going to be defending him because he's the most dangerous guy that Minnesota has. Minnesota is without Mr. Wiggins. I mean, he's still, I think, a game-time decision, or he's good. Let me see here. Yeah, it says game-time decision still on him. If there is no Andrew Wiggins, I can see where these guys are going to probably defend each other a little bit more. And that matchup, I'd rather go with Giannis, to be totally honest with you, over Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler is a great defender. He's a great ball player. But we're talking about a very athletic, long, wide very good player in Giannis. So for me, I mean, I can't go with Butler today at 9,400. I definitely like Zach LaVine. His price has gone up quite a bit, but Zach LaVine has been on fire. So I'm definitely going to have some exposure to Zach LaVine today. At 8,400, you pretty much need 42. On DK, 7,900, a little more respectable. You need 39 there. He just finished playing against this team. And as you can see, he put up a 41 spot against Charlotte the other night. They are on a home-to-home. 35 minutes, 32 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists. The main thing for Zach LaVine is he's going to have to take a lot of shots. I mean, that's the one thing that I like out of the whole situation here with LaVine, is that he's got to be the offense for this team. Hopefully no injuries for the young man, because, I mean, if he is healthy, he is very, very good. Very, very good. Like I said, he needs to lead this team, man. They are without Bobby Portis. They don't have Chris Dunn. So a lot that he's going to have to do. As you can see, the minutes have been great. 33 minutes to as much as 37 minutes over the last 4 games. Look at the usage rate. Pretty much over 30% on the regular. He's taken up many shots. Look at the shots he's been taking. The usage rate, the minutes, the shots are there. He's getting about 19, 20 shots per game from the floor. And then from 3, he's pretty much shooting about 6 or 7 per game as well. And he's getting to the foul line at least anywhere between 8 to as much as 10, 11 times a game. That's very, he's doing a little bit of everything. 5 assists, 4 rebounds. Does have a tendency of turning over the ball and does have a tendency of getting into foul trouble. But he can also do some little nice things defensively. He can get a couple of steals. He definitely is capable of getting blocks. As you can see, he's done it before. Pretty darn solid. The numbers are all been green. As you can see, yeah, he was at 68 at one point, and now he's up to 84. His price is getting high. I don't know how much higher it will go. Hopefully, he doesn't get any higher than this, because this is probably about the max that I will go for him right now if he's only averaging about 45 per game. So I definitely need to see him start scoring some 50s. But I think he's in a good matchup here today, because he needs to be the one to step up. There's just not enough offense. So for me, Zach LaVine is definitely in play. Going up against Charlotte, they're 20th in defense against guards, as you can see that here on the cruncher. They're allowing 25.7 fantasy points per game thus far this year. And they did give up 41 to LaVine in the last game. So, that was a very close, good, competitive game. This is also a nice game that I like as far as game stacking. I could see 2 or 3 players that I like from Chicago that I could squeeze in with 2 or 3 players from Charlotte. So you could definitely game stack this game. It should be another fairly close game. All right. So that's what I got there with LaVine, man. So I like LaVine. When it comes over, let me go over back to FanDuel. I mean, man, I'm going to go back to the well on one of my kids from New York as far as down here. Damian Dotson, value play, 5,200. Price has been coming up just a little bit, but he's been getting the minutes. Obviously, the minutes he got the other day was garbage time, but you can see from the prior game against Milwaukee, he got 31 minutes. That the Knicks and Coach Fizdale are starting to realize that they definitely need this guy on the floor. And so when Hardaway is not playing as well, you're going to see Mr. Damian Dotson get in there and get very, very busy. 34, 20, 10 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 block, 1 steal. As you can see already, he's had 5 steals in the last 3 games. And he's played 20. He got a 21 spot, 29 and 40. I could see his minutes still increasing. I could see him getting 25 to 30 minutes again today. Let's go over here to the cruncher. Dotson. They're going up against the 29th ranked defense against shooting guards this year in Golden State. And look at the minutes. The usage rate is okay. He got 20 in the last game. Like I said, it was more garbage time for him. But nonetheless, he took 14 shots from the floor, 8 from 3. The prior game, 13 from the floor, 8 from 3. He's going to take threes. He's going to shoot from the floor. He can rebound. He's very athletic. And as you can see, the 5 steals, the 1 block over the course of the last 3 games. He's not he's not a kid that fouls a whole lot. As you can see, he averages about 2 fouls per game. And look at the floor points, more than 10 points per game. His numbers look darn good, man. So again, 29th defense. They're giving up 30.9 fantasy points per game to shooting guards, the Golden State Warriors. They gave up 35 to Beal, 40 to Booker, 42 to Gary Harris over the course of the last 3 games. Now, granted, Dotson is not one of those 3 guys, but he is capable of it with his skill set. He's similar type of skill set as a Gary Harris and even a Devin Booker as far as being quick, being athletic, being flashy, being fast, and can actually shoot the ball from almost everywhere in the perimeter, including threes. So Damian Dotson, to me, I mean, me as a Knicks fan, I'm very impressed with him. And this is a G League player that has developed in the G League last year. So I think he's going to be a fine play here for us today. Again, man, stay posted. You know, later in the day, usually I sometimes make changes and I put them up on the comment section of the videos. And sometimes I interact with others and we discuss that. So we go to small forward. At small forward, man, Giannis is in play. I will have a little sprinkle of Giannis. I think this is a great matchup. I like him better than Butler in this game, but he is more pricier. He's 12,003, 62. You need pretty much to cover that price. That's quite a bit of fantasy points, but I think he has an opportunity that he could possibly do that here. Minnesota is down one guy in Andrew Wiggins, and that's going to be definitely a big blow because Wiggins is not a bad defender. He's not great, but he would have definitely helped his team out. The only thing I'm scared about this game is that Milwaukee is pretty good and their pace is really up right now, even though Minnesota is as well. But I could see Giannis and them really pulling away in this game, especially if Jimmy Butler is not on. So that's the biggest concern for me as a DFS player. So, yeah, I will have a little sprinkle of Giannis, but not as a main core, not at the price of 12,003. He is 11,700 on DK, so you need pretty much about 57 there. That would definitely cut it. I think that's not a bad he's not bad to play on DK, but again, you got to try to squeeze him in. I do believe that there is some value, at least for me, in my opinion, in the power forward spot today. So, but we'll get to that in a moment. So my first guy for me, man, Kevin Durant. I'm not too fond of him today. I like Curry better against the Knicks than Durant, but Kawhi Leonard stands out to me, man. Kawhi Leonard is in play for me. That price is a little high, but I like the matchup. 9,800 for him. He's coming in here, 28 points, 7.8 rebounds, 2.5 assists, 44 fantasy points per game. At 9,008, you pretty much need 48. And on DK, he is, sorry about that, let me check. Mr. Leonard, where are you? He's 9,003 on DK. All right, so you pretty much need about 46 or so there. So anywhere between 46 to 48 you need. That is definitely exceeding what he's averaging right now, but he did put up a 53 spot in the last game against Minnesota. And, you know, again, you got a guy here that when we go to him, he's been, you know, pretty much the team. Him and Lowry are getting it done in Toronto, and right now they're playing very good ball, and they actually have been playing well with each other. 35 minutes in the last game. Look at the usage rate, over 34%, close to 38% here in this game. Look at the shots. Taking massive shots. If we're talking about 33, 34 minutes per game, his usage rate is about, I don't know, you figure maybe about 33%, 33% over the course of the 4 games. And he's averaging about 20, 21 shots per game from the floor and give or take maybe 4 or 5 threes per game. You know, that's quite a bit of offense, man. And then he's capable. And then the beauty of Kawhi Leonard is his defense, that he gets all these additional fantasy points, these additional 6 to 9 to 12 fantasy points more because he does things like this, like steals and blocks. Look at the last game, 2 steals and 2 blocks. 2 steals, that's 12 fantasy points additional right there on top of that 53, from that 53 spot. That's quite a bit. And he does that pretty consistently. Gets either steals or gets blocks or gets both. And then the floor points were massive. 35 floor points in 35 minutes. That's 1 point per minute. We're not even talking 1 fantasy point per minute. That just crushes that. He crushed fantasy point per minute with putting up a 53 spot. He's capable of getting you 50, 55, 60 almost any given day. And that's the scary part here. They're going up against the 18th ranked defense, okay? Defending small forwards in the Dallas Mavericks. Thus far this year, they allow 30.8 fantasy points per game, pretty much a 31 spot as far as fantasy points to small forwards. They gave up 44 to Ariza and 31 to Mr. Prince. Ariza scoring 44. That is quite a bit of scoring, man. So again, those are the 2 guys that are the most notable that Dallas has had the most problems with thus far this year, as far as in the small forward spot. And now they got to deal with probably one of the best small forwards in the actual NBA. So definitely Kawhi Leonard is a great spot. I think he could get 50. I don't see him getting less than 50, to be totally honest with you. I mean, Toronto is really, really good. defensively, and Kawhi Leonard is that good, and I can't see nobody on that team on the Dallas side is going to be able to defend him. So Kawhi Leonard, for me, is a lock as one of my core guys today. Other than that, as far as value, I didn't see a whole lot of value at small forward that I like. I mean, there's a couple of guys. I mean, if you wanted to go real low and take a stab at anybody, it'll probably be Oubre, who has upside if he gets enough minutes. But that's the whole thing. We don't know how to utilize him. Is all a matter of how well everybody else is doing, like Porter and so on and so forth. But I would have to say Carmelo Anthony today, simply because him and Clint Capella are going to have to step up. Without no Harden, Chris Paul cannot just do all the offense for Houston. The offense is going to have to revolve around Carmelo Anthony as well today. So I'm on Carmelo Anthony, even though it's not a value play at 6,004. I think there's value there because of the fact is that he's going to have to take shots, and he's going to get minutes. He's going to be on the floor. He was on the floor 38 minutes against Utah and had a very good game. 22 points from the floor, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 block, 1 steal, put up 39.4 fantasy points. His best game in a long time in the NBA. I mean, since he's been traded. Since he's been traded before he was with the Knicks, from the Knicks to OKC. He didn't have these kind of games a whole lot last year on OKC. But he's going to have to step up here. We go to the cruncher. And again, like I said, the numbers are not that great. We're looking at this factor. We're looking at this matchup as that he needs to step up offensively. The ball's going to have to revolve around him. He's going to have to get some touches. If it's not him that's stepping up and helping out Chris Paul, then I have to say it's going to be Clint Capella. And I think that all three, if they all work together and they get the job done, they can definitely be effective here tonight. So again, Carmelo Anthony for me is in play. 17-8 over the last in the last game. He played like 39 minutes. Again, 20% usage rate in that game. Again, the numbers are not that great for Carmelo Anthony. I'm looking at the factors that you got Harden hurt, and this is an opportunity for him to step up. And I think that he's in a pretty good position here because the Clippers come in. They're 25th in defending small forwards thus far this year, and they have been allowing 25.7 fantasy points per game thus far. They did give up 38.6 to Paul George and 32 to Willie Barton before he got hurt. So again, I just feel that this is an opportunity for Carmelo to put up some serious numbers just due to the injury to Harden. Offensively, he's going to have to step up. We go over to power forward. Obviously, Anthony Davis is in play. I mean, that's a huge number. 13K for him. You need 65. And, man, God knows he can definitely get 65 against Brooklyn. I'm going to have a sprinkle of him or two. I just don't, I'm going to have him in my lineups. You got to squeeze him in there, man, somehow. He definitely is better priced on DK. He's only 11,006, so you need about 57, 58 on DK. But here, this 13 definitely hurts, man. 13 grand. Yeah, you need 65 for him to meet value, and he's averaging 68. I'm still going to have some exposure to him, man. I just can't see. You can't pass up the matchup. I could see him scoring over 60 against Brooklyn, especially if Brooklyn could keep it close. This is a paced-up game. New Orleans love to play at a fast pace, and Brooklyn doesn't mind it at all whatsoever as well. 70 in the last game. That's what I need from him tonight. But 70.6 in the last game. Look at that. 40 minutes, 34 points, 13 rebounds, 2 assists, 5 blocks, 1 steal. He put an 80 spot in his first game of the season. I mean, geez, it's just the numbers. I mean, it's really nothing that you can discuss about him. He's one of the best players in the NBA, man. Going up against Brooklyn. Brooklyn is 21st in defense, in defending power forwards, as you can see here. They have allowed 26.4 fantasy points per game thus far this year, and they only gave up 2 big games, obviously to 2 notable, really pretty good power forwards. Kevin Love put up 32.2 against them, and Blake Griffin put up 43.6. So I mean, you could just imagine how what AD could possibly do against Brooklyn here. And Brooklyn really don't have nobody to defend him, nobody whatsoever. So it's just like, for me, it's like you just have no choice but to throw him in there in most of your lineups, and then just get the value somewhere else. And I like paying up for him today because I feel that there is value in the power forward spot today, at least in my opinion, which I like a number of guys down here that I'm going to have some exposure to. As far as value, my first guy and that I really like the most is Markieff Morris at 5,500. And again, you can bypass AD and pay up in some of the other spots and take a guy like Markieff Morris and maybe even take a Bagley, who's done very well as of late for Sacramento, or Harrell, or come all the way down. I also like Marvin Williams. And I'm going to have exposure to all four of those guys in my power forward spots in my lineups today. Marvin Williams, Harrell, Bagley, and Markieff Morris. But I'm going to speak about Markieff Morris because he's my favorite one out of all of them. He's done pretty well thus far this year. Even away, he's done well. As you can see, at 23-25 the last two games, 28-14, 9-4, 45 fantasy points in this game, 21. Did have a 32 spot, pretty much a 33 here. So he's at 15.8 points per game, which is, he was not even near that range last year, this early on, or even late. 6.3 rebounds, 2 assists, 30.8 fantasy points per game. At 5,500, you pretty much need 27, and on DK, he's 5,600, so you need about 27, 28, the same. No different on either one of the sites. You pretty much need 26, 27 from him. He's definitely got 40-point upsides. You already seen it. And so far as fantasy points, his lowest bottom number right now has been pretty much a 22 spot. So not at all bad for Markieff Morris. We go over here to the cruncher, and just to look at his usage, 17, pretty much 25. The last two games, usage has been up anywhere from 18% to as high as 26%. The longest the games stay fairly close, he's going to be in there. Another reason why he's having this success is because, Dwight Howard is still out. So he's been playing center in some of these stretches during these games. So he's been taking advantage of the situation over a few players, So I kind of like that. His home and away splits have been pretty good. He's been averaging about 21 fantasy points per game away. So, that definitely helps it. Going up against Sacramento. Sacramento is 14th in defense, as you can see here, defending power forwards this year thus far, but have allowed 31.4 fantasy points per game. Okay, and have allowed 39.8 fantasy points to centers. I threw that in there because I know for a fact he has played a good portion of his time on the floor as a center, as a small center for the Washington Wizards. All right. And, Sacramento coming in, they're giving up a lot of points per game, 122 points per game. I saw that, and that's the third most in the NBA. And during the course of those 31.4 fantasy points per game given up to those power forwards, Jaren Jackson, the rookie, has put 32. You had Derek Favors put up 31. And Anthony Davis is just a total beast. He put up 54 against these guys. So there is room for Markieff Morris to get what he needs here to meet value. I can see him getting 30 or better in this game. He definitely has the upside, and he definitely has the room there as far as whom he's going up against. So the matchup is just fine. And like I said, other than Markieff Morris, I like Bagley. He's been really strong as of late for Sacramento in the same matchup against Washington. Harrell going up against the Clippers, going up against Houston. And I also like Marvin Williams here, who's been very, very good as of late and had a good game against Chicago the last time out. So at 4,600, I think he's a viable play as well. All right, we go over to center, last spot. And I'm going to stay with those Rockets, man, because they need the help. Karl Anthony Towns is not a bad play. He is dirt cheap. 8,500. Karl Anthony Towns should be in everybody's lineup. I'm going to have a sprinkle or two of him. He has not looked good at all this year thus far. But he is a player that last year his value was 10,500. He was up there. Let me just go real quickly to the cruncher. But he has been. I remember him being 10. Yeah, late in the year last year, look at that. Prices 10, 10,000, 10,500, 10,000, 10,900, 10,800. So he is cheap at 8,500 here on Fanduel. Cheap. And he's only 8,000 on DK. So you only need 40 and about 42, 43. He could get that. I just don't feel right now in this matchup against Milwaukee. I could see him getting a little bit frustrated with Brook Lopez, who has that tendency to rub off on some guys and he gets into foul trouble quite a bit. I kind of like Brook Lopez a little bit more than Karl Anthony Towns as far as price is concerned. So I'm bypassing Karl Anthony Towns. I think he's due for a 45, 50, 60-point game. Maybe tonight. I may decide to sprinkle him in later on in one lineup, but I'm going to more than likely not play him and wait to see when he starts actually playing a little bit better. But I am all for Clint Capella at 8,100. So he's my stud center for the day. At 8,100, you need pretty much 40. He's averaging 15 points, 9.5 rebounds, pretty much almost 10 rebounds a game, 2 assists, 33.2 fantasy points. And as you can see, 32, 33.2. He's pretty much been in that range in 3 straight games. He's getting the minutes. Let's look at him at the cruncher. Excuse me. And as you can see, the minutes 34 through as much as 38 over the last 3 games. The usage rate is pretty much about 19 to 20%, pretty much on average on those 3 games. And look at the shots. He's getting anywhere between 9 and 16 shots from the floor. He's getting his rebounds. He's had right here, he had a double-double. He had a double-double twice already this year. 10 and 12 here, 19 and 12 here. He's in a very, very good spot. 20% usage rate, 9 to 14 shots per game. And he's capable of getting a double-double any given night, as you can see there with the 2. He's going up against the Clippers. The Clippers are 25th in defending centers, allowing 41.7 fantasy points per game thus far this year. They gave up 45 to Jokic, 41 to Steven Adams, 45 to Capella. They already have played each other. And 34 to Maricic. So if he already put up 45 against them the other day, I don't see no different again today. And if anything, today, even more so because they don't even have Harden. So I see definitely an uptick as far as minutes. He may get more than 35 minutes today, and he may have to put up more than 15 to 18 shots from the floor. So I see the opportunity. Him and Chris Paul, just as well as Harden, have that great connection with Capella on how to utilize him, especially under the basket. So I love him. I like Capella a lot today. I think he's in a good matchup. So Capella is my stud center for today. I will have some exposure to Cantor in the Golden State game because I just don't see anybody who could defend Cantor. But I already have had Cantor up twice already during the course of my videos, so I don't want to just always give you the same guy. But Cantor is definitely someone that I'm going to have some exposure to. Then we're going to come down here, man, and it comes down to I don't see anybody down really low that I really enjoy. Maybe Dang, if Mr. Towns is playing terribly, gets into foul trouble, then Dang will not be a bad play at 3,700. Could be someone that can get you 15 to 20 and pay off value, or again, it could be that one lineup that gets chucked off at the end. Not a bad play if you want to save some money at center. But I really like Brook Lopez here going up against Karl Anthony Towns. Granted, I do like Jonas Valanciunas, but again, I had Jonas Valanciunas the other day. He came through perfectly, gave me value, actually exceeded value by 8 or 9 fantasy points. Fantastic. It's just the problem is he's still not getting more than 20 minutes. He's getting 19, 18, 20 minutes, and that's about it. So Brook Lopez, I like more in this situation because he is getting the minutes. All right, Brook Lopez, 14 points per game, 2.8 rebounds, 1.8 assists. Remember, Brook Lopez is not a rebounder. He doesn't do any rebounding anymore like he did when he was really young. He is more of a perimeter shooting, 3-point shooting center, and he's pretty good at it. 24.7 fantasy points per game. At 5,800, you pretty much need 28, and on DK, he's 4,800. You only need 24, 23, 24 pretty much to cover him over there. The game log, let's just go to the cruncher. And on the game log, I just love what I'm seeing. 32 and 31 minutes the last 2 games. Really has picked it up. You're going to expect him to play quite a bit of minutes today. Okay, going up against Karl Anthony Towns. 16, I'm not too concerned with the usage. Even though I would love to see that more, but at center and knowing the kind of player he is, I want to see if he's getting shots off. So he's getting 13 shots from the floor, 10 and 10 over the last 3 games. And he's shooting 11 threes, 5 and 8. So he's getting plenty of shots. He's shooting pretty much close to 50% all the way around. And what he does bring to the table, he has the occasional days where he gets a number of blocks. He's capable of doing that. He got 2 in the last game, 3 the previous game, 1 before that. So 6 blocks in the last 3 games. And that's what we're going to need to see tonight is for him to get a couple of blocks, get a few more rebounds if he can, and make sure that he's shooting well from the perimeter and he's getting those opportunities from 3. And I don't see Karl Anthony Towns swinging out to defend him on the perimeter as far as those jump shots or even from 3. Because it's going to pull him away from the basket. And if it does, it's going to only benefit Milwaukee with Giannis and Chris Middleton. So I love Mr. Brook Lopez here in this game. Minnesota is 6th in defending centers, so they're doing pretty well there. But they are allowing 29.4 fantasy points per game, which is still slightly a little up. Minnesota also is allowing 116.5 points per game to the opposition, so definitely there is room. And when you think about the 116, it's obviously some of it is coming from the front because Karl Anthony Towns in the front court is really a terrible defender against centers. But in this case here, Brook Lopez not being one of those banging centers definitely is not gonna benefit him that much. If he can just change it and change his tune a little bit and definitely go down under the basket and defend a little bit. He may get more rebounds today than he would any other day because I think he's capable of going up there and defending and getting those rebounds with Karl-Anthony Towns. We'll see. That may happen, and that may just benefit us who may want to play Mr. Brook Lopez. But they're allowing 29.4, and their biggest games they've given up is Tristan Thompson had 31 against his team, and DeAndre Jordan put up 55. All right? So that's pretty much where I'm at, guys. That is pretty much my stud 5 and my value 5. Some things may change. I keep forgetting to mention that to you guys. I may change some stuff. Like last night at the last minute, I told you guys when Kevin Love went down, a few people commented on the video, on the comment section, and I basically told them to focus on Zizic and possibly Larry Nance Jr. And I changed it to Larry Nance Jr., realizing that he would get the most minutes, and he went up there and he put about 34, 35 fantasy points. He ended up being a good play. So again, be aware of that. I'll probably comment it. Any news or any changes on any of these particular players, I'll probably will indicate it in the comment section. Again, don't be afraid to comment and just pick my brain. I'm in and out of quite a bit out of my house because I'm a driver, so I'm kind of like a couple hours away in the morning. Then I leave and I'm home for about 3 or 4 hours, and I'm back out again from 2 to about 4:30. So I'm like in and out, and of course I'm a family man. I got 2 young children, got to get them started with homework and so on and so forth. You know the drill. It becomes difficult, so sometimes I don't get back to sitting down and checking what's going on till about 5:36. So if you hear something before I do, let me know in the comment section, and then I'll try to hit you guys back up with what I think is possibly the best option for us other than those plays. And that's basically it, all right, guys? So good luck today. That's enough. That's pretty much it for this video. Again, drop a like on the video. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe down, become part of the DFS Zone community. Also, I do have a Facebook page, so you can go to the Facebook page, drop a like on that, like the page. We also have a Facebook group. It's pretty much DFS Zone as well. If you decide to go in there, that message will come over to me. It'll give me an alert that somebody wants to join. I'll let you come right in. And then, of course, we do have, you can follow me on Twitter at DFS _ zone, at DFS Zone, or you can go over to my Instagram where I usually put up my postings of my winnings or anything that I have done here as far as a DFS player. I pretty much post over there, and that's DFS Zone on Instagram. And that's pretty much it, man. So again, I'll see you guys on the next video. Good luck tonight.